Hey, good morning, everybody, and I hope everyone had an absolutely fantastic day off. I know I did. It was a great Spokane for a softball tournament, so we had a great day. Now we're kind of back to work. I fly out tomorrow, and of course, Stampede starts right away. So it's going to be a great 11 days here in Calgary. We're always all excited about Stampede, dressing up as cowboys and cowgirls, and hanging out, and celebrating Calgary and our heritage for a good 10, 11 days. But today, Calgary to say, hey, do we want to bring the Techstars winners on the show? And I'm like 100%. I always love listening to aspiring entrepreneurs. I'm going to put this out there right now because you guys are programmers, you guys are devs. The only thing I know about programming and developing is that Python state. So now you know who you're talking to when it comes to my knowledge when it comes.
I'm great. Thank you for having us, Jade, on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Jade. Happy to be here.
Alejandro?
Yes. Can you hear me?
No, it's I always say more less of me, more of you makes for a conversation. So why don't we start with some introductions? And Dominika, why don't you start us off? Tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe your programming background, and then we'll go to Alejandro.
Okay. So my name is Dominika Dubinsky. I'm originally from Slovakia, and I'm an engineer by training. I work in a transportation company, and I'm a winner of Techstars Calgary.
Right on. Well, yeah, my name is Alejandro.
Alejandro,
I'm a mechatronics engineer. Yes. Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah,
I
just
can hear
introducing
you.
myself. Perfect. So, as I was saying, I'm a mechatronics engineer by trade. I've been doing robotics for the last 6 years now. So I started like dipping my toes into like this whole idea of startups, and I was like very attracted to like learning about the community back in Calgary. So yeah, I decided to like sign up along with Dominika to give it a try, and it was like a great experience, like especially like a learning experience. My highlight was like really experiencing firsthand the whole vibe coding. So yeah, that's us.
And talk a little bit. This is a time to kind of talk a little bit more about yourself. I want to hear more about you. I want to hear more about drove you into Techstars. Like, why did you say, what did you see that said, hey, platform's hosting this event. I want to get in there. I want to meet a bunch of random people and be paired with and try and create something
Right.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually a really good question. So, first of all, what drove me into robotics? Like, I don't know. I think like first since my first kind of like exposure to automation, like the idea of like writing some code and seeing something move, it was kind of like magical. Because I did software, like just plain software before. I actually worked for Intel for a little bit, and don't take me wrong, it has its magic to it, but like the,
Okay.
the the moment that you see like that software embodiment and that software like activating something in the physical world, it was magical to me. So that's why I kind of like got like drawn into like robotics. um and I think as my career has been progressing, it's been like a really natural kind of like next step into like, okay, well, going from like helping someone build something to then like having this curiosity of like, okay, I want to build something of my own, right? And Calgary has been like shining for like how much is a startup community is growing and how fast it's growing. So I think like the algorithm and all these like social medias is just like put it in front of my face. I was like, hey, um, platform Calgary, Tech Start weekend. It was just like appeared to me. Like I read a little bit about it. I read what will be like the goal during that weekend, and it was just like so attractive. I just couldn't like pass on it. So and then again, like the idea of like kind of like get to meet these like equally driven people, actually learn from them. When I told Dominika, it's like, hey, we're not. I don't think like we walk in there with like the mindset of like competing or even winning. We walk in there with like the mindset of learning, right? So it's like, hey, whatever it happens, like we're there for learning. Put our egos aside, because like we both have like, in my opinion, really good jobs. Like we have like a really good background. Like we're working for like really big companies. I myself, like I actually left Tesla last year for like joining this startup, like pursuing this like really cool mission that we have, that we're trying to like solve the whole housing crisis. But yeah, it was just like basically just learn about the community, meet the people, like having this opportunity of meeting someone like you. I've been following a little bit of your work, and it's very impressive, like the reach that you have, and the extent of like events that you've been. So it's already paying off in my opinion.
Yeah. So I'll just go back to how Alejandro and I met. We studied together at the UFA, and we were actually taking new technologies and intellectual property class. That's where we met. And then over time, we moved to different cities, worked through different companies, but we still stayed in touch. And during that period, we always bounced new ideas, like business ideas of each other, because both of us work basically in applied research and development. And we constantly work with new ideas and new technologies. So then Alejandro messaged me that there will be this Techstars event, that it's intense workshop, and if I want to go see how startups work. And yeah, like he said, we were just going there to learn, to observe what it is to work for a startup, who we can meet there, network, and then we'll see where we'll go from there. So it was an amazing experience. Shout out to Platform Calgary. The whole event was super intense. We started on Friday afternoon with pitches, and then it really showed me how much we can do in a really short period of time if you just focus on that one project you're working on. Yeah, it's been amazing.
Yeah, let's dive in with an idea. Tell us about the entire process. Starting from Friday for people that might not know about the Techstars and what platform does.
Yeah, so on Friday, we came with our ideas. Alejandro had his own idea, I had my own. Um, Overall, there were 46 people who pitched their ideas, and then over 130 people in the audience. And then everyone pitched, and after there was voting, and we voted for top 10 ideas, right? You couldn't vote for yourself. So my idea got to top 10, and then the winners of like top 10 ideas, all the founders who came from the idea, then we had an opportunity to pick from the people whose ideas didn't get selected, and see if they want to work with us. So I didn't come with a team, neither did Alejandro. We just came with ideas. That was actually the hardest part, to pick your teammates for the weekend, because we only had like three minutes to talk to the people. And the mistake I did was people were asking me questions about the project, how I imagine it, what I want to do. So I was answering all their questions, but I didn't have time to ask questions about their background because, like I said, it was 3 minutes to pick your co-founders basically, and there were at least 20 people talking to you at the same time. So we just got the name, their profession, and on a sticky notes, and then we picked. So it was super intense and for sure a learning experience, um, that you have to, even in a short period of time, find a moment to interview people,
No, that
as
is
they
that
can
is
make or
interesting.
break.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, that's an interesting process. So once you got I guess let's hear it from kind of Alejandro's point of view here. So kind of once you got your kind of team together. You still there, Alejandro? Oh, maybe we lost him. Car phones, so we might have lost them. So, Dominika, why don't you? We'll work on seeing he comes back or whatever happens. But what was it like? Was it hard to kind of like not knowing people when you went through that process? You got them on your team, or was there a little courting process after you got it, or was it like we're going to go?
It was like really intense. That was like on Friday around like 9 p.m. where we just formed teams, and we were taken upstairs to like the conference room right away. We were assigned a table, whiteboard, sharpies, and they're like, okay, start thinking about your problem. And that was it. Like we finished at 10 p.m. and next day we were there at 8 a.m. already, ready to start working on it. um, on Saturday, we started with presentation about what an ideal client profile is, how or ideal customer profile. How do you identify it, and then how do you validate the ideas, right? So you do customer research, and they're like you interview them, you ask them questions in person, and by the later in the day you will meet with a coach who will help you validate your idea. So by the time the presentation finished, we were like, okay, we have to have interview questions ready, and we need at least 20 people to interview. And so our team split up into groups, and we went out on a Steel Avenue, and like you could see all other teams stopping people, and everyone was just asking questions. That was actually really, I was pleasantly surprised like how many people were willing to chat with us and asking really like personal questions, because my idea or the app is about communications and like personal relationships. And we just stopped random people on the street and started asking them really personal questions. And thanks to them, we were actually able to validate the idea that I came up with. Um, there wasn't really need for that product as we had it in mind. But based on the feedback we got from people, we were able to pivot, modify the idea a little bit, and then we started working on it right away. I have to say that on Saturday, by the end of the day, when we met with the coach, two coaches, we were like, this is not gonna work. We have nothing. We were like completely desperate. And then at like again 8 or 9 p.m., light bulb came up, and we're like, actually, based on the feedback, everyone said that they are struggling with communication in relationship, but communication is like the most important part of the relationship, right? And we're like, okay, let's see what we can do about it. And it was like super
Yeah.
late. We were tired. We're like just running around, working, researching. And we were supposed to already have a minimum viable product ready, right? So it was end of the day. We went home on Sunday. We got back on Sunday morning again, completely exhausted. Because we were just working the whole time. And we're like, okay, we need to build a minimum viable product. We need to build a pitch deck. We need to practice the presentation. And it's all like by 2 p.m. So again, like all of us were like super intense focused. But this whole experience showed us like if you want to make it happen, you can. Like the team, we didn't really have that much programming experience. And Alejandro mentioned like, oh, have you heard of vibe coding? And like, what is it? And he's like, oh, it's like just giving prompt to AI and it will write software for you and it will build a website for you. And Alejandro and Faiz went to a separate conference room and they started vibe coding. They came back in like 3 hours with like pretty decent minimum viable product. And I was building pitch deck, collecting all the information, what would be the market size, what our potential customers can be, and all that information the judges would be judging us based on. And like the time came, I didn't even have time for lunch. Alejandro just brought me lunch and two other team members. We were practicing our presentation and then it was time to go back to the stage and pitch the final presentation to judges.
Well, that is an interesting process. I just kind of want to go back even, and maybe Alejandro, you can dive into this now that you're back. So so you went out there and you walk in Stephen Avenue, and I think this is a good kind of a recap for even people that are startup entrepreneurs right now. What did you learn from talking to those people? How important was it talking to those people on Stephen Avenue from where you thought you would be to where you went by the time you got back to the platform?
Yeah, I think as Dominika said it, like you start with like this kind of like hypothesis of what you believe like people need or want, and then like yeah, putting like this first set of like questions to like really like prove your hypothesis is like it was such a like eye opening, because like yeah, you can believe that you understand like what your customer wants a lot, and then you go out there and you're like, hey, you have this issue all the time, right? And they're like, nope. It's like, okay, and it's very kind of like, yeah, like it a little bit like broke your like hopes and dreams for that minute, but then it's like, okay, well, the smart thing to do, and I think like that's kind of like something very interesting from like that weekend is like, okay, well, then figure out what's actually their problem, no? And that's what Dominika said, that then we kind of like sitting there being questioned about like, okay, is this like actually like a problem? And they're like, no. Okay, what can you actually like get out of those like interviews? It's like, well, they're all having this other issue. It's like, okay, well, then that's that, no, let's focus on that. But also like this process of going through that deep of like, okay, my idea didn't work out, like what I thought it was true is not, and then kind of like, okay, well, there's value over here, let's then focus on that, right? I think like that was kind of like super key, and kind of like not giving up, because as Dominika said, like it's end of the day, we got nothing, we're empty handed, we're walking around like meeting rooms, and like all the teams, they have like fancy presentations and they have like software that it looks like it's doing things. It seems like they have like solid ideas, we got nothing, we're kind of like so yeah, we sit, we went back to our place, and kind of like, okay, well, very 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 low energy, very very defeated, but it's like, hey, remember, like this is just for a learning thing, let's use what they told us, no, like let's put our egos aside, let's put aside what we think, and just like use what they told us, and like let's take that learning from those interviews and come up with something else, right? And it was cool because like after we hit that dip, and then we kind of like find a little bit of like I don't know, a new goal or a new like a different light at the end of the tunnel, like then the energy can like start ramping up. And it was amazing because we, as Dominika said, like we did so much in like a few hours, right? It was really cool. But like I think like a really key moment there is like going through that deep and not just because we at some point I think like we're even thinking of like, oh, should we come tomorrow, should we just like call it, because like you probably under like can imagine the feeling of like not having anything and being in a room full of like people that they look like super prepared, they look like super polished, and we have like no nothing to show. They're like, okay, no, let's go through it, let's finish it, let's do the process, and again just keeping the learning in mind. And it was pretty cool. And I actually like I thank all the kind of like coaches and the people of the startup, but because I told them like we were kind of lost. We were just following like what you told us, like the tools that you gave us, like we were just using them. So it was like honestly like very valuable learning in my opinion.
And it's very important to get product out there in the hands of the actual people who you think are going to use it, because they'll give you the feedback right away. And as you learn, it was something like, wow, maybe that isn't a problem, but this seems to be a problem. And you're able to pivot and move forward. And that's something that we see a lot, obviously, and in my journey of, as an entrepreneur and helping entrepreneurs and investing in entrepreneurs for the last, 10 or so years. So I think again, I'm happy that we expanded on that point, because I think it's a very good learning lessons where sometimes people just build something and they think that the people want it. So as you guys are kind of going and getting out there, and you have all your coaches, and the platform is awesome, the coaches are awesome, and we love everybody that ecosystem, because out there and you're ready to get on the stage and talk about it and pitch about it. What was going through your minds, as maybe you saw some of the, I don't want to say some of the other pitches and knock them or things along those lines, but what do you think made yours so significant to get, I guess, to get the W?
I actually thought like, oh, everyone has such great ideas, great project, because some of them already worked on the idea prior to the startup. I was like, they're gonna win it. We're like here for the experience, right? But I think what probably made us win was like our idea was unique. Like we are focused on communications, conflict resolution, relationships. Everyone else had technology that's kind of similar. It's like kind of improvement on technologies that already exist on the apps. Um, and I think one of the reasons why we won was because we proposed that our app can be sold B2C directly to customers, but also B2B. We had like huge application for this technology. We are able to sell it to businesses as well, and then they can sell it to other customers. So I think it was kind of that it was unique idea, very relatable to every person who was in the audience and among judges, but also like how scalable it is.
Yeah, yeah, maybe it's compliment something there. I think like we stumble into something kind of like
Anything to add?
yeah. As I was saying, I think like we kind of like stumble into like
I see you
something that
kind of
it's
clicked
being
out, so you
very
might be
like
gone again.
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, there you're back.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay,
we
sweet.
can.
Sweet. Yeah, as I was saying, like I think like we stumble into something like very kind of like interesting. That is the whole idea of memory into like these AI powered tools, and and on top of that, leveraging memory with emotions, right? As in like a way of like using these tools to like keep track and kind of like gauge how your emotions are like being played in this context in a relationship, right? I think like that's kind of like something like the judges kind of like saw, like as a potential, no. And again, this is not something that we just us were doing, but like it's something like the like big players and like a lot of like entrepreneurs are looking at out there, right? How do we leverage like this factor of like adding memory and then like involving emotions and mix it with like the whole large language model approach, right? I think like that's something like very interesting. And even though that again, like this is like step zero, like that's already like a very yeah, very attractive idea. I think that that's kind of like something. And I remember like one of the judges, it seems like he went through like some sort of like separation or divorce, and he literally made the comment like, oh yeah, that will have been great for my relationship, like I don't know, 6 months ago. So as Dominika said, like this is something like people like related to really easy, right? And that's where value is, no, when you're actually like kind of like trying
Yeah.
to like ease the pain or solve a problem that people actually have, right? So that's that.
No, and I kind of want to, you went through the process and 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 thank you for sharing that process and some stresses of trying to reach forward time constraints and the stresses and lack of sleep and the hungers with all that cramming something into a weekend. So what do you think is next for your project and for your business? Is this something that your team, yeah, you guys going to bring it to? I wonder what your vision is for the next steps. And I'm going to probably have you say this, Dominica, because Alejandro's breaking in and out. So,
Yeah, I absolutely want to make this app happen, bring it to production. So I'm currently utilizing all available AI tools to build something decent, at least like the minimum viable product. We're currently have landing page and testing, and then um, once we're happy with the results and the market confirms that there's demand for this app, we're gonna hire a professional software developer to build it. But the vision for this app is so it's communication and conflict resolution app. Basically, it will be your coach on demand in your pocket because people in relationships they might use couples therapy, but that's not available on demand. It's not always easily accessible or affordable for lots of people. So we want something that people can use any day at any time, and we would like to make like healthier relationships and deeper connections, like through solving like what each person in a relationship needs, because sometimes we think we know what the other person needs, but it might be something else, and their needs are not being met. So with this app, we want to make relationships better. We would start just between the couples, and over time, we want to expand it to improve communication between parents and children, or like in a workplace. Because I feel like people have lots of assumption, like what works for me also works for them, which is not true, right? And there are also like differences between genders. It's like I don't know if you saw that meme where like a woman is mad at her husband and she's not talking to him, and the guy thinks like, oh, what a nice quiet day. So we just want to bridge the gap between partners and give them coaching in their pocket, like this is how you can improve your emotional intelligence, this is how you can improve your communication skills, and this is what your partner input, that what he needs. So like here are some like tips how you can get closer to him and understand him better. It will be um, really great tool to bring people closer.
Well, I do agree with everything, and I'm going to put this out there. I will help you guys in any way that you see that I'm able to help you with. I mean, this is something that I'm passionate about. We work in the mental health side of things a lot. My wife and I just celebrated, 2 days ago, our 24th wedding anniversary, 31 years together. So communication has been an extremely important part of staying together that long. Uh, sometimes it's not fun having hard conversations, and of course our two daughters are 15 and 18, and we have very open and frank conversations with them. So I do love what you guys are creating. I'm excited to see what you and your team are going to take it to next. And yeah, if you guys need any help, I would love to participate or guide you in any way that you need help, or open up any doors or windows that or introductions that you need. So on that end, I would love to just make that offer known for you and your entire team.
Congratulations on your anniversary, Jade, and thank you so
Thank you.
much for your offer. We'll be really excited and happy to work with you. Um, Both of us, even though we work in on new technologies and innovation, but it's always been a part of a huge corporation. So we don't have that much experience working on a startup. Yeah, so it would be amazing. However, you can guide us or any words of advice.
Well, the offer is open, and yeah, I'm looking forward to potentially sitting down and talking one day. Maybe in mid July, mid August, when we get back from the lake. But again, I think it's something incredible. Thank you for sharing your experience, Dominika and Alejandro, on the Techstars. Thank you again for everything that platform does in our community and being our hub and our tech center and the heartbeat of our entrepreneurial world here in Alberta, and especially Calgary. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and thank you for sharing. And for everybody else, I know there's a lot of Stampede events coming out. Stay safe, take Ubers, take cabs. There's going to be a lot of fun had over the next little bit. And I hope you yourself, Dominika and Alejandro, enjoy the rest of your summer. And I look forward to our next conversation.
Thank you so much for having us, Jade. And I would also like to thank the platform for hosting such amazing program and supporting local entrepreneurs.
They do amazing things and love everything, and we support. So anyways, you guys enjoy your summer. Again, thank you for coming on and sharing your story, and I look forward to chatting. Bye.
Thank you.